Greetings, Salaam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Simon Hill, recording this video on Hammamet, Tunisia. The date is June 8th, 2018, on a Friday, a beautiful sunny day. And today I'm going to be making a video talking about my experiences as a Black American here in this wonderful country in North Africa called Tunisia. Now, right now, like I said, I'm in Hammamet. I'm going to show you my view from my apartment. Uh, this is Bourguiba Avenue, above a cafe called the Lease. And every day I'm so fortunate that I get to see the sights and hear the sounds of this wonderful country. I really get to experience it. I'm not in some guarded, gated expat community. A lot of videos you see on YouTube of people that move to North Africa or GCC countries, the Middle East, whatever. These guys, they live in, expat communities with only people that are from outside of the country. I'm here with the normal Tunisians, the regular people. I'm not some bourgeoisie guy hiding in some place with people guarding the door and that sort of thing. I walk outside and you know I eat leblebe just like y'all, and Aja just like y'all. So yeah. Anyway, let me just talk about my experiences. So just to preface this, the reason I'm here is because my wife is Tunisian. She's of North African, Berber, Arab descent. She's a wonderful girl. We've been married for a year almost. In July, it'll be a year. And I've traveled here 3 times, including this time. This is my longest stint. I've been here about 6 months now. And the reason I married her was because, I wanted somebody who shares my same faith. I come from, a country that's predominantly Christian, and a lot of the Arabs and immigrants from Muslim countries, they come to America and they become sick with the poison of white supremacy. And even though African Americans make up a substantial portion of the American Muslim population, a lot of the Pakistani, Palestinian Arabs from North Africa, they would refuse their daughters or their sons to marry, African Americans, which is a shame and goes to show you that the biggest religion in the world is white supremacy before Christianity or Islam or anything. So anyway, yeah, I wanted somebody that was from the continent that didn't have those type of preconceived notions about people. Luckily, my wife is the sweetest, kindest girl. When I first came here to meet her, she came to the airport with this girl who was half black, half Arab. Her name is Abir. And, that kind of put me at ease as far as somebody who is, welcoming the black people. Abir is one of her best friends. So I love my wife, Halima. She's a wonderful girl. She's a good Muslim. And I'm so glad I met her. And, I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with her. Anyway, so I came here the third time to live with her for an extended amount of time and also to take advantage of the opportunity to work remotely. If you see my other videos, I'm in the merchant cash advance industry, and that I wanted to take advantage of this job opportunity. So in general, my experiences in Tunisia have been wonderful. The country is beautiful. The people are extremely nice. The weather is awesome. I'm from the south, so I'm used to heat, but I do appreciate the longer winter here. It's more. This is the most northern place I've ever lived, because I mostly, grew up in Louisiana, and if you know me, I spent 4 years in Miami, which is extremely hot. So it's good to be here, and yeah. What amazes me most about this country is that it's ancient land. This place is where the whole continent of Africa got its name. It used to be called Africa by the Romans, and it's amazing because one of my favorite people in history is Hannibal. And when I first went to Carthage, I was amazed by, looking out on the Mediterranean and looking at the Atlas Mountains and thinking about how we took those elephants over the Atlas and then across the Strait of Gibraltar and almost conquered Rome. And that's very inspiring to be to stand on the same land where this type of history took place. It is a very conservative country. It's a bit old school. They're not too much up to speed on technology and that sort of things, but the people here are so lovely and so nice. Now, let me talk about my experiences, though, as a black person now. In America, you know, we're born and bred with this double consciousness as African Americans. We have to think about how we think about ourselves and also think about how the world perceives us. It's one of the side effects of white supremacy. Anyway, my experiences here as a black American have been great. I believe personally that a lot of my privileges come from my passport. If it wasn't for my passport or the capital I have, the money I came with, and the money I continue to make, I, I believe maybe I would have been treated different. Uh, Generally, I haven't experienced. Let me rephrase that. I have experienced subtle racism, yes, but I'm not going to talk about my experiences with subtle racism because I believe maybe sometimes subtle racism can just be a misunderstanding or a gesture that's misconstrued. But have I experienced explicit racism while here in Tunisia? Yes. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it or bite my tongue about it. This is what happened. So when I came here the second time to marry my wife, uh, we had to go through a process. At the time, you had to convert to Islam if you were a foreigner to marry a Tunisian woman. You had to have a medical check done by a doctor, and you had to go get the actual marriage done. You had to turn in your birth certificate, that sort of thing. Anyway, we had to go through this whole process, and it wasn't easy, but we did it. And during the process, I experienced explicit racism on two occasions. When we went to go get my conversion done to Islam officially, we had to go to a government office. We met with this man, and I'll never forget it. We walk into his office. It's me and my wife. We're waiting there for a while for him, and when he comes in, he sees me, black man in a suit, and says, "Oh, you look very nice. You look very nice. What do you do? What do you do?" And I told him, I work in a bank. I work with money. I didn't want to go down the path that I'm a salesman for financial products. I kept it simple. I work in a bank. He's like, "Oh, you work in a bank? Oh, I never would have thought that. You look like you play football, or you look like you play a sport." Okay, that was crazy. He said that to my face. All right. And he asked me, "Where am I from?" I said, "I'm from America." And then he said, "No, no, no, you're from Africa. Never forget, you're from Africa." Those were his exact words to me. And then he started talking to my wife in Arabic, about how we met and that sort of thing. She gave him the explanation, and then he started saying all this stuff about how bad black people in America have it because of racism and that sort of thing, ironically, right? So that happened. I felt hella uncomfortable. I've never had. I know white people, right? I'm from America, and I've never had a white person say that type of stuff to my face. So that was different and new. Luckily, we were able to get past all of that stuff. I got my conversion paper done. Maybe one day I'll show it to y'all. And after that, we went to go get a medical check. We went to a medical office in Lock 2, and I got my blood taken and that sort of thing, perfectly healthy. And then we had to go to another doctor to officiate those papers. So when we go to the other doctor, my wife walks into his office first, and then I follow right behind him. And then when he sees us both together, my wife is from Africa, but she could pass as a white woman. And, I'm obviously black. And he looks at us and then looks at our papers and then says to us that me and her shouldn't have children. And then when my wife asked him why, he only spoke Arabic. I couldn't talk to him. He said, because you and him have different blood types. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a geneticist. I'm not somebody, with a lot of medical knowledge. But I know that's complete and utter crap. That doesn't make any type of sense. It's saying that me and my wife can't have children because I'm O positive and she's A B plus, whatever. Like, that's complete nonsense. So he gave us that reason, and uh, my wife didn't want to tell me what he said until we got out of the office because she knew how I would take that, and that really hurt my feelings. Just a side note: the reason I converted to Islam was because I know that there are racist Muslims, but the ideology uh, of that there is an Arab is no better than a black, or an Arab is no better than a non-Arab, a white is no better than a black, and vice versa, except for piety. That type of ideology really attracted me to Islam, and I would never leave Islam because I met a million racist Muslims. I don't care how many racist Muslims there are in the world, okay? But it really hurts my heart when I see, fellow Muslims, fellow people that grew up in the deen at least, express those type of thoughts and ideas. So that really hurt me. And that was pretty much it. After that, me and my wife got married without a hitch. The lawyer that took care of our papers was a nice guy. We said Al-Fatiha, and I paid my wife 50 dinars in the dowry, and that was an experience. So the third time I came back was the time I experienced explicit racism here in Hammamet, and that time was the most egregious, and it really hurt my heart too. And I've never experienced anything like this in the States, and this is why it's something that really bothers me. So I went to this place called O Pub Hammamet. The first time I went, wintertime, just wandering around the city, I saw this place, and I said, let me pass by, let me see what's in it. And I went in the first time, had a great time, ordered some food, had a drink, relaxed. It was lovely. Loved that place the first time. The second time I went, I went there, and the guard grabbed my arm and said, reservation only. I was like, reservation only, okay, sorry. So then other people started walking in, Arab, Tunisian people, whatever. They started walking in, no problem. Guard didn't grab them, even check them, didn't ask them a question, they just walked in. So I asked somebody who was in the car getting out to come into the place, is it reservation only tonight? And he said, no, I don't know. It's not. It's never been a reservation here. So I was shocked. Okay. And then I tried to walk back in, and he grabbed my arm and said, reservation only, then pushed me. And you know what? Then I said a few choice words, and that was it. That really broke my heart. I have never experienced racism so explicit, so egregious, so malicious in my life. And the first time I went, I didn't have to show ID. So the second time I went, I usually walk around with my passport on me, but that day I didn't have it. I wonder what would have happened if I showed my passport. Would there disdain for black people, assuming maybe I was from the continent? Maybe it would have changed if I was from America, but I don't know. And I think that comes to my major point that I said at the beginning. A lot of my privileges, I believe, come from the fact that I'm American. When I go to a restaurant and stuff like that, my wife, she takes care of the orders and stuff like that. They ask her where I'm from, and she says I'm American. The service changes automatically. That time at OPUB, I believe that was because they assumed I was from the continent, a black man from the continent, and they treated me like crap. Is it likely they would have treated me different or let me in if I had showed my passport? I don't know. I was speaking like this, normal American English. That didn't seem to work, so I don't know. But that's the explicit racism that I've experienced here. 3 times. Three times enough for me. 1 time is enough for me. In America, I'm used to dealing with racist white people. It's very subtle, somewhat. But, in a lot of ways, I would prefer to be a black man in America than a black man here in Tunisia. So just to sum it up, I want to talk about the general climate of Arab North Africans' relationship to Africa as a whole. In the media, in Tunisian media, uh, Africans, black people seem to be represented at 0%. If they are on TV, they're usually dancing or singing. Um, you never see African politicians. If you came to Tunisia and you just turned on the TV, you would think this country was 100% full of uh, white or brownish tan people. You would not think that there were Africans here of darker complexion, such as myself, black people. That's very disheartening. I feel like if I was a Tunisian that was born here, I would have zero representation on TV. A lot of the media in the Arab world comes from Egypt, and in Egypt, black people are representing none on TV except as maids and servants. Uh, Now, I'm not trying to impose my Western perception of what I feel like representation looks like in the media. I'm not here to, uh, tell other societies how to live or how to represent their populace in media. But let me take a step back and say, let's say I was a black person born in Tunisia. I would feel like I didn't matter in this society at all because none of the politicians look like me, none of the police look like me, none of the people I see in the TV shows look like me. It would really, hurt my heart. Um, the Tunisians in general don't even consider themselves African. They consider themselves Arab or Berber, but they would never call themselves African. Uh, as a somebody from America, you would think that if you were born on the continent, even though you have your national pride, you would at least identify with the continent. But that seems to be non-existent as well. Uh, and from what I've seen on documentaries and videos, and talking to people here, uh, I do believe that racism is a major problem in Tunisia. Uh, I mean, you can't have 15 to 20% of your population look like me, and nobody in government uh, looks looks like me, or nobody on TV, major TV, looks like me. That's pretty disheartening. But I'll say this: the climate here isn't vehemently racist. I encourage African Americans to come here to visit. If not Tunisia, come to Africa in general. North Africa is a beautiful place. Um, and yeah, I hope I'm not forgetting any points. I'm trying to cover everything. Sorry this is such a long video, but I really wanted to get this out and get these thoughts out of my head and into the world and have a conversation with people in the comment sections or send me an email, and I'd love to converse. So in closing, uh, passport privilege, I believe, is real. Uh, Black Americans are welcome in Tunisia. Uh, I believe that black people here have a fight for equality that needs to happen because there is a major black population in Tunisia, and yeah, and the black person that I spoke to from Tunisia was the girl that I spoke about at the beginning of the video, Abir, my wife Halima's friend. And she told me straight up, yeah, if you're black in Tunisia, you got a long way to go. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It was a pleasure. Reach out to me, guys. My email is simonnhill90@gmail.com. I'll also leave a comment, like, subscribe. Love to hear from you guys. And yeah, Black American in Tunisia. Peace.